Wow, you sound like you're really into this.
I'm not. I'm sick and I'm tired.
All right. Well, we're going to bring you a great episode here today, folks.
I didn't know we started. You were the one who was like, what do we do? What do we do? I didn't know we started.
Well, we had some microphone trouble here, peeps. Actually, it was more computer trouble than microphone trouble. So
Microphone's fine.
That's what we're talking about in case we keep any of this.
It's your computer.
But what we were saying before my computer crashed is it's crazy that we have a podcast at all. It's not something I ever would have thought of myself doing. And so I don't know, it was just one of those like, why do we have a podcast? That's weird.
Because I had an idea for a TV show and you took it and repurposed it for a podcast.
I took it and repurposed
You took it, you stole it.
You had another podcast for like a year before we started this.
Nah, we recorded
our
first episode and the other first episode of the other podcast in
at the same time.
week.
I know, but then...
And then you took a year to get your shit together on my television show idea and turned it into a podcast.
Yeah, and also you're welcome then.
I could have sold this to Discovery. I could have sold this to TLC.
You wish.
God,
There's not nearly enough drama in this for us to sell it to TLC. That's not happening.
Just give somebody a marriage license and then...
Well, we're married. We could just yell a lot more.
It could just be 90 Day Fiancé
you bitch.
podcast.
Oh, shit, my mom listens to this. I can't say that.
Yeah, please don't call me a bitch.
Okay, cut that out. Well, you're the one that brought up TLC.
They're not running around calling each other bitch all the time.
Aren't they?
No.
They're doing. Oh, okay, fine. I'll throw cake in your face. I don't know.
That's better.
By the way, this podcast is actually a cake.
Everything is a cake.
Zing.
How do you know this microphone's not a cake?
I know it's a cake. Look, if I put frosting on it, it's a cake. Forget Twitter. That was already true.
You want to cut it open and see what happens?
Not particularly. Welcome to the show that we're not sure why we had.
Welcome to the show that's definitely a cake.
Welcome to the cake.
The show itself is a cake.
I'm Chris.
I'm a cake.
And this is Cake or Just Cake.
That's what the podcast really should be.
Cake or Just Cake. Maybe that'll be our episode title.
I wouldn't mind having some cake right now.
I would enjoy cake right now.
I see that you've got something pulled up on your screen, so clearly you've got some business to attend to before I hop into the second half of my topic.
I was just taking a look at our World of Text page.
Culture Just Weird World of Text page.
yourworldoftext.com/culture-just-weird. Like, share, subscribe. And it's just cool because we have like a bunch of little graffitis on it from people that have dropped by to say how much they like the show and they're listening to it. And one of them is from freaking Iceland.
Thanks for stopping by, friends.
So cool.
It's really cool.
And at some point in the future, when Americans are allowed to travel again, I would really love to visit Iceland.
Yes,
It
please.
looks beautiful. I just think it's so cool that we have international listeners. I don't know. It's rad.
And thanks for going to your World of Text.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. It's fun to scroll around.
It is.
If you haven't gone there yet, you should check it out.
Yeah.
Is that your business? You ready for my topic?
Yeah. Let's do the content. Let's grind out this content.
This is my third episode in a row.
Yeah, I know, but I had a few in a row. That's how it works,
You had
Kayla.
2 in a row, my friend.
I had 2 topics in a row.
Yeah.
So
2
do you.
episodes in a row.
This is a 2-parter.
Yeah.
Maybe we should say that, actually. It's the
They
second
know
part
it's
of
a
a
two-parter.
two-parter. New listeners may not.
Well, if you're listening to this new, go back and listen to the other one first, and this will clearly say like part 2 on it.
I like how you're like raising your voice against new. If you're a new listener, you go back
Get
to
the hell out of here.
Stupid.
No, thanks for being here if you're a new listener. But yes, this is the second part of a topic that we started talking about 2 weeks ago. So go back.
And what is
listen to that one. Don't jump ahead of me in my script,
topic?
Or I will flip a desk and walk out of here like the diva that I am.
I didn't know you were in a. Oh, we should do our scripts on World of Text from now on.
No, way too hard.
Why? It was typing. It's all typing.
No.
Oh, it's a good idea.
No, it's not.
We'll talk about it later. We'll get to that.
Okay, so be quiet, because now it's time for me to talk.
Okay.
Don't react at all. Let's just power through. No.
Let's get that TLC drama going.
Okay. 2 weeks ago, we introduced this topic, the topic of Afterlife Science, which, for our purposes, has been defined as the study of phenomena associated with survival of consciousness after death, including near-death experiences, after-death communications, life after life, parentheses, death, and reincarnation. We also talked about Dr. Gary Schwartz, a psychologist, author, and professor at the University of Arizona, and the director of its Laboratory for Advances in Consciousness and Health, who is at the forefront of afterlife science. He is our charismatic leader of this topic.
Go Wildcats.
We also talked about the Forever Family Foundation, an organization he founded to, quote, further the understanding of afterlife science through research and education while providing support and healing for people in grief. So this organization vets mediums. They have a recommended reading list that covers everything from life after death and near-death experiences to UFOs and remote viewing, and they provide support groups for bereaved parents. Dr. Schwartz's pursuit of afterlife science has a personal bent, as he was originally a professor and researcher of psychiatric and psychological studies such as biofeedback, but when a mysterious voice protected him during a car accident, Dr. Schwartz pivoted his focus and began searching for evidence of the afterlife and the persistence of consciousness after death. A lot of his most well-known work took place under the Veritas Project at University of Arizona, where he studied mediums such as John Edward and Alison Dubois, mediums who are known to many as, for lack of a better word, frauds. We also talked a lot about how our best accepted science and well-known skeptics consider Dr. Gary Schwartz's methods and work as unscientific and pseudoscientific, with folks like our beloved James Randi weighing in on his potentially dubious methods.
Actually, I was thinking about some of the wording that we used some of the wording that I used in last episode. I don't think it's bad wording. I don't regret it or anything, but I just wanted to say one thing, is that it felt a little mealy to me when I was saying, like, well, we don't want to question anybody's experiences, but it's a higher standard for me to accept it into my body of knowledge. And I just didn't want to come off as, like, I don't know. A, I didn't want to come off as, like, weirdly condescending by trying to beat around the bush. Mm-hmm. And B, I also just kind of wanted to say that, like, I think it's okay, and I think, like, for people like you and me, where we're very open-minded, sometimes we maybe have a hard time with this, but I think it's okay to actually just sometimes say, I think this person is wrong, and their methods are
very true. I know for me, what I didn't want to be misconstrued when we were talking last episode, like, we live in a society where a lot of people's experiences, true lived experiences, are denied, and yes. I did not want what we were talking about here to come off as, if you experience something, if you can't prove it in a court of law or in science, then it definitely didn't happen to you, and we should question everything that you say. Like, that's a different topic. When we're talking about, like, the sciences.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a balance, right? Like, I don't think that you should, like you said, we shouldn't be denying experiences, but then, like, at the same time, I don't think we should either be just accepting every piece of information that comes into our heads. And I think it's okay to say, I don't like to actually assert, I think that this person is wrong and I don't agree with their methods. Yeah.
But that's different than saying, I don't think you had that experience. And that's what I want to be clear. It? Yes. Saying I don't agree with their methods is different than I don't think you had that experience.
Well, what about the fact that he, like, heard a voice in the car? Do you think he had that experience?
I mean, if he either is completely lying, which I don't know, or he did have that experience, and I think there is a non-supernatural explanation for it.
Sure. So, what about that first part?
I don't deny that he had that experience, because as far as I know, he did.
What about that? But you said it could be that he's lying.
Yeah, it could be that he's lying, but I don't know if he's lying or not. Like, that's kind of why we're here. We don't know if, and that's something that we've talked about a lot on the podcast. Like, we don't know for a lot of these charismatic leaders if they drink their own Kool-Aid or not. Right. Like, I don't know if all these MLM leaders actually believe that their people are going to make money.
Yeah, and I think a lot of times they do. So
I think that somebody like this, it's the same. I don't know if people believe in supernatural things. People with degrees, psychology degrees from Harvard, believe in ghosts and believe in whatever. Like, it's not, to me, it's not cut and dried that he's lying.
So are we asserting then, let's assume that he believes it, because I think a lot of these folks do believe it. Then is our assertion that you think that this happened, you had this experience and you think that it was due to reason X, but it wasn't, it was actually due to reason Y?
Yeah, that's why I told the whole, like, ghost story in the beginning of 2 weeks, the last episode, was because a lot of us have those experiences where we experience something that feels supernatural or preternatural or can't be explained by our best knowledge. But again, that doesn't necessarily mean that, like, it doesn't necessarily mean that the conclusion that you jump to is the explanation.
Right.
It's God of the gaps. It's like, just because you saw what you have language for as a ghost doesn't mean it's a ghost.
It doesn't mean that something supernatural was happening.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Especially when we do know that there are reasons grounded in science and physical reality why some of these experiences can happen. Like, we know that
there are natural
infrasound,
explanations, so there's no reason to seek a supernatural explanation.
Right. Like infrasound and faulty wiring, like, we know that those things can fuck with you. Like, we know that there are reasons why a person might see a ghost that isn't necessarily a ghost. So do we feel caught up from last week's episode or 2 weeks ago?
This has been... Oh, sorry. Yes.
Where we laughed off.
No, but thank you for indulging me on that, because I thought a little bit about my choice of language there. I don't think it was wrong choice of language. It just felt a little like, what's a way to put this on the podcast? It's like, it felt a little like,
wishy-washy.
I know what my preference is, but this is a collaborative effort rather than just saying, I would prefer this.
Well, but I mean, again, I just want to be clear. What I'm saying is that I don't know if this person is lying. I just don't agree with their methods.
Right.
And I think that I'm right. So.
I think it's okay to say that.
Yeah, I think it's okay to say that I'm right.
Damn right.
Damn right. Where we left off last time was hinting that this Gary Schwartz rabbit hole goes even further down, and that we need to touch on people in the community surrounding Gary Schwartz and the utter strangeness of his more recent projects, the post-Veritas projects. So let's talk about some of those projects. I love the face that you're making.
It's like a grimace.
Yeah, it's the grimace emoji. So we already talked about him founding the Forever Family Foundation. He's also written or co-authored 9 books, 450 scientific papers. I don't know how many of those have like been peer-reviewed or like what journals they have been published in. He has a he has a mixed history of publishing in like accredited journals and then like complementary medicine ghosty journals. So 450 scientific papers, take that with a grain of salt. He has co-edited, because this is the numbers that I'm reading off right now are from like his reporting. So again, take it with a grain of salt. Co-edited 11 academic books. He has many bona fides. Gary Schwartz is a fellow of the American Psychological Association, the American Psychological Society, and the Academy for Behavioral Medicine Research. He received a Young Psychologist Award and an Early Career Award for distinguished research from the American Psychological Association. He served as president of the Biofeedback Society of America and the Health Psychology Division of the American Psychological Association. In 2004, he received a Distinguished Scientist Award for Energy Psychology from the Association for Comprehensive Energy Psychology.
Energy psychology?
Yeah. And so again, mixed bag here. And in 2006, he received a Distinguished Scientist Award from the United States Psychotronic Association.
What's the United States Psychotronic Association?
God knows.
Is that like psychology of
Tronics.
The movie Tron?
Yeah. In 2012, he received the Distinguished Contribution to the Science of Psychology from the Arizona Psychological Association. So that's a lot.
That's a lot of letters and associations. And
a lot of quote-unquote bona fides. He is a science advisor for Open Sciences, which is a group of 300-plus scientists, professors, doctors, and thought leaders who state in their manifesto that the sciences are being unnecessarily constricted by dogmatic beliefs, in particular those tied to the philosophy of materialism, aka physicalism, and its untestable background assumptions. These dogmas cast a shadow over both science and society at large, predetermining what questions are acceptable to ask and what phenomena are considered possible. Now, materialism / physicalism is probably its own entire topic, but just to touch on it here, there is an idea that trends through these circles that today's science practices are so tied to the quote-unquote aforementioned untestable nature of our assumptions of reality that we're blind to and critical of schools of thought and areas of study that don't mess with those assumptions. So I saw it explained like this, and this is from something called the Galileo Report, which I really don't want to get too into, but it's basically this like report being like, we found that science is too dogmatic and y'all should let us study ghosts.
Why didn't they just call it that?
Galileo Report. So here's how it was explained. 1, no human intellectual activity, including science, can escape the fact that it has to make assumptions that cannot be proven using its own methodology, i.e. absolute presuppositions.
Okay.
2,
True so far.
the prevalent underlying assumptions or world model of the majority of modern scientists are narrowly naturalist in metaphysics, materialist in ontology, and reductionist empiricist in methodology. 3,
Okay.
the result in the belief that consciousness is nothing but a consequence of complex arrangement of matter or an emergent phenomenon of brain activity. 4, this belief is neither proven nor warranted. 5,
Where'd that one come from?
in fact, there are well-documented empirical phenomenon that contradict this belief. That's what the Galileo Report goes on to say.
Not sure where that one came from either.
That's what the report is about.
I see. So they explain it in the report.
Quote unquote explain. Again, this is a whole other topic. It just
Sounds like
pops up here. So, yeah, I don't know. Do you have any other reactions to that? Because it's a lot.
Well, I don't know. Like, it feels like I kind of want to know what's in the report a little bit, but you're saying you don't want to go down that rabbit hole.
Like, it's a whole thing.
Yeah. Like,
it's basically saying, like,
I get what it's saying. There's
the nature of reality. Existence exists, and we're supposing that it exists, and then scientists go like, you can't question that.
Right.
And therefore ghosts are real. Right.
So that's the part I said, like, well, that part's true, right? Because there are in any system of thought or any system of, like, provable theorems, there are axioms that exist in that cannot themselves be proven within that system.
Right.
I think that's I don't want to out myself being wrong here, but I think that has to do with Gödel's incompleteness theorem. So that's like a well-known logical thing.
Right.
It's just some of those other things that I would have to read the actual Galileo report to see how they're trying to justify nobody's proven that consciousness comes from matter. Like, I don't know about that.
Well, and I get what they're trying to say. I do understand I understand some of what they're trying to say.
Yeah.
I understand that it's like, hey, even with the scientific method and, like, the incredible advancements we as a species have made in science over the last however many years, like, we still don't know a whole hell of a lot, and we should make sure that, like, our scientific community is open to new ideas and crazy off the wall things. And, like, I get that. And that there definitely is, like, there is dogma among skeptics and atheists. So, like, who's to say that there isn't sometimes blinding dogma in the field of science? Like,
right. They're not immune to it. I mean, this itself is an example. This episode, this Dr. Gary Schwartz is an example that people in the scientific community are not immune to dogma.
Right.
So that's definitely true. And I totally see what they're saying about, like, well, if the axioms of science are necessary but also arbitrary, then can't we just pick other ones?
Right.
It's sort of maybe outside the scope of this episode to discuss that. I don't know.
It's up to you.
I don't know if I have a good thing to say about it off the cuff.
We have a lot to get to, so we don't have to get too into it.
Yeah, let's.
I guess I just want to say that
we'll get to that. We'll get to metaphysics at some point.
So it's worth looking at the dogmas that do exist in, like, our scientific communities and our skeptic communities, but that doesn't discount the fact that, like, yet again, this argument doesn't really hold water, and it kind of turns the scientific method backwards on itself to be more about motivated reasoning. Like, we want to believe this thing. We believe this thing. We believe
so how are we going to justify
there's metaphysics, and we want to find evidence proving it, which that's literally flat Earth.
Right. But they're questioning science, Kayla, so why would they use science? It's very, it's also a closed logical system, so...
Fucks my brain.
Check and check.
Back to Dr. Schwartz. He is also on the board of directors for Eternia, which is a...
What's where He-Man is from?
Is it?
Yeah.
Eternea?
I think it's IA?
Well, this is Eternia with an E, not an I.
Oh, Less cool.
And they are a nonprofit organization whose their mission is, quote, "The mission of Eternia is to support and engage in scientific research, public education, and practical programmatic initiatives to further awareness and acceptance of the fact that eternal existence in some form or manner is a fundamental reality for all living things as an inherent quality of nature." On their landing page, you are met with a graphic of a beautiful blue cloudy sky, and it says, "Would it help your life right now if you knew or experienced?" Question mark.
If I knew or experienced what?
It's just a poorly like syntactically structured thing. Would it help your life right now if you knew or experienced? And then it has a bunch of things. You don't really die. A fundamental aspect of your consciousness / energy / spirit survives physical death. You are an integral part of source energy / God / universal consciousness right now and always were. You have everything you need to handle all of this life's challenges with style. You will, quote unquote, see your loved ones who have passed on again. Knowing these truths helps you transform yourself and the planet for the better.
Yeah, so, I mean...
I also have an about section to read for them, if you want me to read
please.
that before you jump to any conclusions here with your dogma. I'm sorry. I'm apologizing to our listeners right now. I cannot be more biased about this topic. You are getting an extremely biased episode.
Biased and irresponsible.
Well, that's my middle name. It's very clear how I feel about this topic, and I'm trying to be balanced, fair and balanced, and it's not working.
Well, fair and balanced is not the best
no
slogan.
It's not. That's why
we found out.
I reached out to that one. Okay, Eternia's about section. I'm just going to read it to you. It's a couple paragraphs, so bear with me. Eternia endeavors to contribute to a profound transformation in human nature, behavior, values, perceptions, and consciousness by promoting comprehension of this reality as pervasive throughout the whole of creation. Eternia reasons that recognition of external existence as a basic fact of life on a broad scale could have enormous implications for positive social change around the world, thereby dramatically improving the human condition. Eternia aspires to accomplish its mission through promotion of unity, oneness, harmony, collaboration, cooperation, cohesion, and resonance, which are rudimentary.
A lot of C words.
Yes,
that's good.
Which are rudimentary cornerstones in natural order for the realization of successful and sustainable outcomes. This insight is predicated firmly upon scientific findings considering both the macro, cosmological, and micro, quantum, levels of observation. In this manner, Eternia hopes to provide humankind with an analytical, scientific, and intellectual basis to adopt the firm conviction that discrete individual consciousness survives physical death and qualitatively evolves throughout eternity while bearing ultimate responsibility and accountability for individual deeds and actions directed at others and oneself.
Okay, I have some questions.
By undertaking this mission and the strategies underlying it, Eternia hopes to promote the greater good of humanity by serving as an effective catalyst for the overall advancement of human civilization.
Is that their whole website? That was really long.
That's their about.
That's their about?
Oh, their website is huge. Huge.
That's like...
It is enormous.
That's how you know... That's how you know you're digging into some crazy.
Yeah.
Is because it's like way longer than it should be. It's like those YouTube videos that are like 7 hours
Tia Swan's
long.
page went back when she was like not who she is now.
Or like the Flat Earth YouTube videos where it's like 7 hours.
Or you go on Hulu and you're like, ooh, what's this documentary about the Rothschilds and the Illuminati? Oh, it's 14 hours long. Got it.
It's like, I don't even know how you would sit through all that. I don't have the patience for 1 hour.
It's also like...
Maybe that's why we're skeptics, is because we're not...
I just don't have a good attention
it's just
span.
it's a patience
You throw
thing.
a lot of words at me and I'm like, fake. School is a witch.
So I have some questions about that. Actually, maybe this one's more of an observation, but like, I don't understand... Are these folks that we're talking about pro-science or anti? I can't figure it out. This is something that came up...
I know.
It's something that came up last time, too, in last episode.
Okay, they're pro-science, but the kind of science that they do.
It's like they're pro-science when they feel like it can legitimize what they're talking about,
Yeah.
and otherwise they're like, science doesn't know everything.
If the science doesn't agree with what they're saying, then it's not... They're saying it's not real
then
science.
Science is dogmatic, and if
Yeah.
science does agree with what they're saying, then it's like, science backs what we're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just every time you bring up science, like Yeah, I don't know. You just read this whole thing from the Galileo Project about like why science is too dogmatic.
Yeah.
And then you read this whole thing where it's like, we can prove it with quantum things.
I know. It's also like they're about as nice. Like,
sure.
I get, you know what?
Dude, I would love that.
Okay, yeah, I would love to exist eternally, but not even that. I do think it's really cool to be like, hey, we have a mission. Our mission on this earth is to get human beings to treat each other better.
Actually,
to treat
yeah,
each
that's
other
a good
and
point.
themselves better.
Because they're not just saying like eternal life, dope, right? They're saying like eternal life and therefore let's all be better this one.
If you knew you existed forever and this was going to like be who you were forever, you would treat other people differently and yourself differently and you would behave differently. And that also feels very religious.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that like, as a knock at all.
If I live forever, I could get canceled in the year like 3075.
Right.
That would not be good.
That. You could keep your Masked Singer job and God. But it does like
man, eternal cancel culture.
One can only hope.
Shit.
But it does feel very like sometimes people don't understand how other people have morality if they don't have religion, like how other people have morality if there's not that promise of eternal life. And so I understand why people might look for non-religious ways to kind of meet that same need or fill that gap. I personally don't think I need the threat of eternal life in order to like try and be a good person.
Yeah, but you have the threat of a future super intelligence that's going to punish you.
Oh no, I just have the threat of cancel culture.
Oh, right. Let's do an episode like what makes you moral? Is it Jesus, cancel culture, or Rocco's basilisk? D, all of the above.
Yes, just all of the above. What is that? That was from Rocco's Basilisk too. Where you just like believe in everything and you're good.
Right. That's like the ultimate Pascal's wager.
Pascal's solution.
Do I believe in it? Yes, just in case.
So I understand, and I think it's great to try and get people to be nicer to each other. Also,
lame.
Come on. Like, you're not doing science here.
Yeah.
You're not, if you have an entire website about how not just a hypothesis of yours is correct, but how like your entire eternal worldview and your view of the universe and everything, including cosmology and quantum reality, you know it all, and you're going to prove it with science, like, you're not science. You're not doing science.
Not to get pedantic here, but my question number 2 is going to be, how do they know that we're eternal? Because eternity hasn't happened yet.
Well, because a lot of the people that work on things like this, it's my next point.
Okay. Well, wait, can I ask my third one?
Yes.
Well, actually, the third one is also maybe more of an observation, but so the third thing was just kind of tying it back to like the metaphysics of, well, what are the axioms, right? And I think that actually a lot of it comes back to there's sort of 2 major things. There's either objective reality exists and we come from that, or conscious reality exists and everything else comes from that. It's either existence first or consciousness first. That's kind of it, right? Those are your choices. And I think that's why a lot of these, like all of these new agey type things that we've talked about on the show and probably will talk about on the show again, all have that same feature of you are God.
Right.
It's not a coincidence. It's because they're all of that metaphysical starting point.
Right.
That metaphysical axiom, consciousness first.
It's like whether you're Ramtha and saying literally you are God and you can change your entire reality, or it's the teal swan or the this of like you're part of source.
Right.
It's the same thing.
And I think that that's, to me, if I'm going to sit here and say, why would I accept one axiom versus the other when neither of them are provable within their system? It seems to me that it's based on my lived experience. How do I want to put this? Sorry.
That you're not God? Yeah, I know.
That I am just a dirty worm.
My life sucks, so clearly I'm not God.
Yeah, I'm not president despite saying grab him by... Oh, no. So, no. It's more just like, not everyone can be God, because otherwise reality as we know it wouldn't work. It's impossible.
Right.
If everybody was Dr. Manhattan, if everybody was all powerful, For those of you that don't know, like, semi-obscure comic culture.
Oh, yeah. Watchmen is so...
Okay, well, it's not obscure anymore because now there's a very successful HBO show
Oh, my God. You're so obscure and esoteric.
Do you think that all of our listeners are going to know what Watchmen is?
I just don't want to condescend to people.
I hate you.
Yeah,
I'm trying not to. I'm trying to connect, not to say, like, oh, you guys don't know? Fuck you. No, so what I was going to say is that reality doesn't work if everybody gets to be their own god. Because
I can argue with that.
Whose will wins out?
It's solipsism is right. We all live in our own, like, our own multiverses where we are the god of that multiverse or of the god of that universe.
I see.
So every single consciousness
so you don't exist is what you're saying.
Has its own universe. Yeah,
you're a
exactly.
figment of my imagination.
Or are you a figment of mine?
Well, no, because I exist and you don't.
No, I exist and you don't.
That's exactly what a figment of my imagination would say.
Agreed.
Also, all of our listeners, or should I say my listeners, since you don't exist.
My listeners.
You guys don't exist either.
Yeah, sorry. Or you are the masters of your own reality in your own universe.
Right.
That's the only way it works.
They're in their own universe where they're doing the podcast right now.
Yeah. But, like, that's the only way that, like, consciousness first works.
Yes.
And it doesn't really square.
Would much rather, and maybe this comes down to a preference then, I don't know, but I would much rather live in a reality where other people exist.
Me too.
And I don't have ultimate power.
You saw what happened in Westworld.
Yeah.
I don't want to live in Westworld.
Yeah. Yeah. They turned Dolores into a totally one-dimensional character in the second season.
That's not what I mean, but sure.
Oh, sorry.
I just mean, like, it's that view of, like, if you're trying to square your God in your own universe and also you should treat other people kind, it just doesn't quite all square for me. So I agree with you that my preference and my belief is that it's an existence first universe.
Well, it's even more fundamental than kindness, right? It's like, it just plain old doesn't, even if I want something, if my preference or my, whatever, I'm God, like, working my will on my personal universe.
Right.
If you're there too, and you do something contradictory, if you say unstoppable force and I say immovable object, something has to give, and whichever one gives is all of a sudden not God anymore.
Yeah.
So either we live in a reality with other people, which is what I prefer. I hope that you're not actually a figment of my imagination, or we have godlike power, and that to me is what defeats that set of axioms as the fundamental from what you go from. That's ultimately why I prefer science.
Yeah, I agree.
It's because I like Friends.
Speaking of Friends, I should probably take a second here to come back to Dr. Schwartz's Friends, as I mentioned in the previous episode.
What a segue.
I know. And we're going to talk about, like, why for some of these people and why they do this. So during all of my research, scouring the websites for the Forever Family Foundation, Eternia, Open Sciences, and everything else touched by Dr. Schwartz, I kept running into the same handful of names. Like, it feels like there's a large core group of scientifically presenting personalities that all hang out in each other's organizations, all publish and promote each other's work, and all support the idea that human consciousness exists beyond the brain and there is life after death. And in a lot of these cases, each person has a personal experience that convinced them of the afterlife or the supernatural, often transforming them from a rational skeptic into a spiritual believer. So some of these figures are Eben Alexander III, MD, who is a neurosurgeon whose near-death experience convinced him that there is an afterlife and consciousness survives death, which is detailed in his book, Proof of Heaven, and he is a co-founder of Eternia. Raymond Moody, PhD, MD, a philosopher, psychologist, and doctor who coined the term near-death experience in his book, Life After Life. This is back in, like, the 70s. And this was after he encountered anecdotal stories of near-death experiences, also a board member of Eternia. Mark Pitstick, MADC. I looked up what the Masters of something, DC... It's like Doctor...
Masters of DC Comics. But we're talking about comics a lot in this one.
It's like complementary medicine, something like that. A hospital worker with 47 years of experience in a hospital setting, and clairaudient, who has witnessed miracles, and STEs, which are spiritually transformative experiences. He's also a board member of Eternia. Julie Beischel, PhD, who received her degree in pharmacology and toxicology and minored in microbiology and immunology at U of A, she focused her career on testing mediums after having a positive experience with a medium after she lost her mother. And that's really just the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah, I see why this one kind of freaked you out the same way that talking about...
D. Jafar.
Thank you. And Ben Lynch and the folks around that freaked me out because there's so many accolades and trainings and titles.
Right. It becomes hard for me to look at these people and not wonder, like, okay, well, is there some motivated reasoning coming along with your claims? Like, you've had personal experiences that convince you there must be more, and then you spend your life on research trying to prove it.
Yeah.
Like, remember my ghost story. Did I believe I saw ghosts because I saw them, or saw ghosts because I believe them? Is me thinking there's a rat and like...
Well, okay, so hold on. For that particular thing, I am not sure I want to call motivated reasoning on that. I think it's certainly possible. I mean, they probably have motivated reasoning anyway.
I'm just saying,
but I'm not sure that
think about it.
Right, but I'm not sure that I want to equate having an experience that drives your life's work to motivated reasoning, or maybe I don't know. Unless we want to say that that's true for everyone,
I think
I think that happens with a lot of people. Like,
I think if you are a scientist and you have a supernatural experience, and then instead of going, I want to figure out what happened, you go, I want to figure out
how to prove it.
What the supernatural thing that happened, because that's not what, like, Dr. Schwartz didn't hear a voice and then immediately go like, maybe I should get a CAT scan and an MRI, and maybe I should like spend half my time studying neurology and the other half of my time studying like the maybe metaphysical things.
He immediately jumped to the one possible.
That to me is what is the motivated reasoning. It's that I believe this thing now, and so now I will work to prove it.
Right.
It's not the same as like, I had an experience and I want to understand it. I'm passionate about it.
Right.
It's
the
taking
scientist
science
should say,
and doing something different with it.
The scientist should say, something happened to me. I would like to know more. I want to know what happened. Not something happened to me and I would like to therefore prove that it's the thing that I think.
Right. Another unifying theme amongst all these folks? Well, you've already heard it. Keep an open mind for everything. Otherwise, you're dogmatically rejecting the very ideas, experiences, and advances that will take humanity to the next level.
Ooh, you don't want to be responsible for preventing humanity from transcending, Kayla.
Yeah.
Come on.
Keep an open mind, you dogmatic
You party pooper.
bitch.
You transhumanist party pooper.
So, man, okay. This is where it gets weird.
So, wait, this is where it gets weird?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So... Like, this is where
do I need to smoke?
This is where it jumps the motherfucking shark.
I can't believe that we haven't jumped the shark. What were we jumping?
We are about to. We were jumping.
It was like a barracuda?
Guppies before.
Okay.
So, as I jump into the last stop on our journey through Dr. Schwartz's professional life, and I mentioned in the last episode things are going to get weird. I urge you, Chris, and our listeners to keep an open mind.
So that I don't prevent us. Yeah.
Yes. I would like now to talk to you about Soul Phone. Don't laugh.
Stop. I can't do
Don't
this.
laugh.
Just stop. Just stop recording.
What do you think Soul Phone is?
I don't know. Is it a TV show?
No.
Is it like Soul Plane, the movie?
But with
with a phone?
No.
Do I call Soul Phone and like Aretha Franklin's on the other side?
No.
What is it?
Soul Phone is a lot, but I'll do my best here. Soul Phone is the general name of the current project Dr. Gary E. Schwartz is spearheading, along with his research assistant, Dr. Mark Pitstick, whose name you'll remember from earlier. The Soul Phone brings spirit communication to life.
Okay, so that's, I mean, aside from all the joking about Soul Plane or whatever, that's a good guess. That's kind of what I was thinking.
At the risk of just fucking reading shit to you again, let me read you the landing page for Soul Phone.
Okay, but hold on. I want to say, this is, if it's talking to the dead, then that's kind of what I was picturing.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll get to that. What would it mean if you could communicate with departed loved ones and learn from scientists, great teachers, and others who have passed on, but definitely not passed away?
Wait, hold up. It's not just my own family members. It's like
Oh, just wait.
Oh, shit.
Oh, just wait.
How much does this cost?
Just wait.
I want to do it.
Just wait. It may sound impossible, but it's not. Do you feel there may be an afterlife where you'll continue to live after physical death? Do you think deceased people, especially your loved ones, can contact you now? Can you imagine that technology may someday enable visits with loved ones living on the other side? After your body dies, would you want to visit with your loved ones who are still on Earth? If you answered yes to just one of these questions, you may be interested to learn more about technological breakthroughs that could enable reliable communication with those who have passed on. The Soul Phone TM devices will someday allow you to visit with your deceased loved ones. That may sound impossible or too good to be true. However, definitive, replicated, and multi-center scientific experiments run in 2019 show it isn't.
Only $19.99 a minute, $1.99 each additional minute.
As I got into Soul Phone, and I'm still not convinced that it's not, but I was like, there's an MLM somewhere here. There's somewhere in here there's an MLM.
There's got to be.
I did not find it. I don't think there is, but I was like, there's an MLM.
Maybe
here.
it's an MLM of the dead. Maybe it's like, maybe your upline is the deceased, and then I don't really know.
Your upline is the living and your downline is the dead, or the other way around.
Something like that.
I don't know. Also on the landing page, you're met with a video from Dr. Mark Pitstick himself, recorded in March of 2020, reiterating that, again, science has proven that there is life after death and we can communicate with passed on loved ones. He states that the
Is there an asterisk that science has not proven this?
No. No, he's like, we did it.
I know.
We did it. He states that the
Mission
two
accomplished.
benefits of Soul Phone will be the ability to communicate with dead loved ones and to learn more from dead scientists and teachers.
What's the expiration? Because this is like, seriously, this is the quintessential dinner party question, right?
I know.
Like this is like,
I don't think there's an expiration.
can I talk to Alexander the Great and Jesus? Like,
I think so.
Okay, so I need to put my list together.
Well, the next step is for hopefuls just like you to become a member and raise funds for Soul Phone
there it is.
R&D at U of A. Quote, your donation helps share this great news. Oh, also,
Come on, U of A.
The Soul Phone
Come
Foundation
on.
501c3 application is still pending with the IRS.
Jesus.
Your donation helps share this great news. Where else have you heard the phrase, have you heard the good news? Let me share this great news with you. Like, that is
It's very
ultra-religious.
it's very mega church.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just, it was so interesting to keep hitting
very Benny Hinn.
great news, great news. I was like, there's only one other area where I've heard this.
Yeah.
Some other advisors on this project include Raymond Moody, the guy who coined the phrase near-death experience.
Allegedly.
Eben Alexander, the guy who wrote Proof of Heaven. Before that, he was a neurosurgeon. As well as at least 8, quote, evidential medium advisors, including some mediums who were part of Dr. Schwartz's afterlife experiments. The rest of the team working on Soul Phone includes software specialists, electrical engineers, and optical physicists.
I can't believe this is being incubated at like a major university.
Babe, it gets so much worse. It's also worth noting, this is just like some technical stuff. It's worth noting that Soul Phone and the Soul Phone Foundation fall under another umbrella company organization called Greater Reality Living, registered trademark, which is a book and movement created together by Dr. Schwartz and Dr. Pitstick. Quote, the term greater reality living describes how you might choose to live as you expand your awareness of life. How would you live and treat others and yourself if you deeply knew that life continues after physical death?
I would kill a bunch of people because it doesn't matter. They're going to live on. It would be awesome.
Like, why does there need to be Eternia
like real life GTA
and Greater Living Experience and Soul Phone and Forever Family Fan? Like, why? They're all saying the same thing. Like,
because they're all different ways to grift. This is why, like, remember I was saying last episode, this guy is not...
He's not passing your smell test.
He's not passing my he believes his own shit smell test. I don't know. He's sounding pretty grift heavy to me.
We'll get to that. So, Greater Reality Living is basically a community for people who are grieving death or fearing death to all come together in their belief that life continues after death. So there are events, there's online support groups, there's local support groups, trained facilitators who run these groups, and there's a store. And Soulphone is basically another branch of this larger trademarked 501c3 organization. I wanted to show you the Soulphone Foundation logo and the Greater Reality Living logos. They're the same. It's the same logo.
Wait, that's two different places?
Yeah, the Soulphone Foundation on top. It just has a little bit more like wispiness around it. And then Greater Reality Living, they're both just like green and yellow spiral circles. And one has...
And those aren't the same organization?
They're friends. Soulphone Foundation is like in the umbrella of Greater Reality Living.
That would be like if PepsiCo, I'm not sure, I think Yum Brands owns them all now, but like if they just used that, that blue and red Pepsi logo for Taco Bell and KFC as well, that's what that's like.
Yeah.
Like it's just lazy. Or maybe it saves money, and if that's your goal, then I get it.
That's their logos. There's also a book called Soul Proof, subtitled Compelling Evidence You Are an Infinite Spiritual Being, that Dr. Pitstick wrote that has its own corresponding website that is connected to both Soulphone and Greater Reality Living. So it's quite a tangled web over there.
Yeah, that's surprising.
So that's the foundation, the fundraising arm supporting R&D of Soulphone devices. Yes, devices.
Devices.
Because the development of the Soulphone...
Wait, why isn't it an app? It really ought to be an app.
It's not an app.
Aren't they trying to make a lot of money?
The development of the Soulphone will happen in stages, each new device more spectacular than the last. The first device is the Soul Switch TM, which currently exists at U of A, or like some form of it exists at U of A, and it's basically a little device that switches on or off to indicate yes
Please,
or no.
God, tell me there's pictures.
There is a picture. I don't know if it's a real picture of something or if it's like a concept. And that's
concept art is perfect. That's great.
And that's just for the Soul Switch. The accompanying art for these other devices is just like stock art, like of people being on the phone.
Well, that certainly goes with their trying to save money on art theme.
Yeah. So the Soul Switch, basically the device switches on or off to indicate yes or no when communicating with hypothesized post-material collaborators, or HPCs.
What?
We'll get to that.
What the fuck is that?
The next step will be Soul Keyboard TM, in which a series of Soul Switches will be able to create a keyboard. So this stage of the Soulphone device would allow you to text like you can now with your cell phone with loved ones who have changed worlds.
And then can it be an app? Can I text with my deceased loved one? Can I text Genghis Khan? He'll probably be getting a lot of texts.
Can't tell you. I don't know.
I need to find somebody who's less famous, but like still cool.
Can you guess what's next?
Not that he's cool. He killed a lot of people. Let's see. So the first one is
Soul Switch,
on and off.
Then Soul Keyboard.
Then Soul texting. So I Soul Voice.
Yep.
Soul
Voice TM. Quote, this device...
Soul podcasting?
Not yet. We'll get to that. This device will be the closest to what people think of when they hear the term soul phone. It will let you talk on the phone and hear those that have died. And they say, like, we don't know what this will look like, but it'll be like talking on the phone.
Like our listeners can hear us right now.
Yeah, but with a dead person.
Okay. Oh no.
What?
I don't speak Macedonian. I'm going to have to learn different languages and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, even Macedonians today probably don't speak whatever the hell Alexander the Great spoke.
I sense there may be a problem here.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Okay. Note to self.
Finally, let me read to you about the last stage of these devices, which, of course, is Soul Video TM.
Oh, shit.
Wait. Quote, after that, we envision a Soul Video device, technology that will allow both video and audio visits, much like present-day Skype, FaceTime, or Zoom. Wait. Audio video conferencing is the next best thing to really being together. This stage of development will open new doors to continued relationships with those who have passed on, but definitely not passed away. Soul Video will also enable webinars with esteemed deceased luminaries. They are not suffering from limited sense perceptions as most humans do and can enjoy a more unobstructed view of life. In addition,
so many questions.
They have been working on ways to improve what they were doing while living on Earth.
Oh, so it's It's like The Good Place.
As Nikola Tesla said during one meeting.
Well, they already had a meeting with Nikola Tesla?
If you think what I was inventing while on Earth was amazing, wait until you see what I've been working on here.
Okay. All right. So first things first, I am now 100% sure that these guys are lying grifters.
You think so?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. There's no way. Like, it's far too...
How is this real? This is what I was reading about that made me change my entire topic. I got to soul phone and I was like, I'm sorry? This is
Come
real?
Again? Okay, second of all, webinars. So are we talking, like, could I have like a conference call? Would it be like, hello, are you, is Afterlife on?
Yeah.
Is Afterlife, I can't hear, oh, okay, I can hear you. You're just a little staticky. Are you on mute? Does Afterlife have, okay, we're here from the conference room.
It's literally like a Skype call, but like the person on the computer is like a little more like grainy.
Well, that was actually my next question is like, what do they look like? Do they look like ghosts? Do they look like they did in life? Do they look like rotting corpses, skeletons maybe? Does it depend on when they died?
We don't know. That's why you need to donate to them for the R&D.
Well, I thought I was just donating to them for the good news.
No, that's to help spread the good news and also the R&D.
Start spreading the news. Got it. Okay.
So safe to say that you're feeling skeptical, right?
Skeptical's not the right word anymore.
Let me tell you right now, there's still a little ways to fall.
Oh, okay. Way to slow roll this. I'm proud of you. This is where your Hollywood writing skills are coming in handy.
This is all I have wanted to talk to you about for like a month and a half.
This is incredible.
Was soul phone. It's all I've been able to think about since I discovered this. Soul phone.
What if they're not available?
Soul phone.
Is there hold music for the afterlife?
I don't know. Ask Beetlejuice. Soul phone. Soul phone. Okay.
I'm going to have like probably another 80 questions as we continue the show.
That's fine. That's okay. You know what? Have all of your questions.
Is there afterlife call waiting?
Hold all of your questions for a moment.
What does it, you know how like when you call a place now, like even if you've never called them before,
you're like, no, it
says the name, like Johnny's Pizzeria or whatever. Like
what happens when they call you? Is it just going to be like, you're dead, Dad? Like, what is it?
Yeah, because it can't just be like Dad's cell, because I would assume that like somebody's calling from his old cell phone.
That's why it's like they're saying it's not really a phone. It's going to be a completely new device.
Oh, it's a different device. Okay.
You don't know what it looks like.
Yeah, but here's the thing, Kayla, is that our personal devices now are an amalgamation of things that used to be different devices.
Hold on.
Like there was
Don't get too into it. No, I'm going to talk about that.
Oh my God.
Stop.
All right, sorry. Just go.
You shouldn't feel skeptical because there is a Does a soul phone seem possible section where Dr. Pitstick explains that when he was 10 in 1963, his phone number only had 5 digits and it was still a party line. He would have thought that smartphones were all of these, like where your camera and your radio and your maps and your emails, because they knew what emails were in 1963. If they were all on the same technology, he would have just thought that was crazy. But the technology is out there now, so just 30 years later, cell phones were patented, and now we've got the computing power in our pockets that was used to send men to the moon.
More than that.
More than that. The rapid development in communication technology shows that the development of technology used to communicate with the deceased is just as crazy and just as possible. Oh, also, this was the part. This was the part where I lost my mind. Hold on. There's a whole section about Guglielmo Marconi, probably saying that name wrong, the inventor of the radio, Thomas Edison, the prolific electric power and mass communication inventor, and Alexander Graham Bell, the inventor of the telephone. Quote, "At first glance, this news about communication with the dead might seem impossible or even ridiculous to you. Perhaps it would open your mind a bit more if you knew that 3 inventors from the last century endeavored to create similar devices. There is very little cited in the rest of the article. It's just a picture of each man with a one-sentence explanation. Bell tried to make a telephone to the dead. Edison worked on a spirit finder. Marconi experimented with a radio to the dead. The article concludes by comparing Dr. Schwartz's work with cell phone and afterlife communications to the achievements of these men. Marconi and Bell and Edison were genius scientists who helped the world in powerful ways. The many advantages of Dr. Schwartz's work cannot be fully imagined, but you get to benefit from them."
All right. So
this topic killed me. Okay. It destroyed me.
I don't actually know that much about Marconi. I do know that Mr. Bell was second to the plate on the whole phone thing. I forget who invented it first, but he was actually second. He just was the one that was able to make it succeed. Mr. Edison, more of a patent troll than a genius scientist, but whatever.
They all wanted to make a phone of the dead. And that means
I don't trust it coming from that source. But if we like Snopes that, or if I don't know if like I read that somewhere. Maybe we should check it out because it wouldn't surprise me, honestly.
No, it doesn't surprise me at all.
Or all three of those guys had tried to do that as like a later in life. They tried
Abso-fucking-lutely. I don't doubt that they did. But that is such a logical fallacy, such a blatant appeal to authority of like, well, Alexander Graham Bell tried to make a telephone of the dead, so you're telling me that Dr. Schwartz can't do it? Like, that's literally what it is.
Right.
That's why it's like...
It's a super appeal to authority.
It also, there's nothing cited. It's just like, you think this is crazy? Well, Alexander Graham Bell didn't think it was crazy. Here's a picture of him. He wanted to make a cell phone.
Trust us. Look at his picture.
Are you still not convinced about the reality of cell phone?
Yes. Are you reading from the site or are you asking?
No, that's from me.
That's...
Do you still have your 80 questions?
Are you recruiting me into your MLM?
No, this is just what happens when I get really mad.
I don't know why you're mad. This sounds amazing.
I'm so mad. Don't worry. I know you said before you had 80 questions. Well, they have an answers to common concerns section as well as a skeptics corner.
Ooh, a skeptics corner.
Both sections are set up as FAQs, though one's a little more interesting than the other. Skeptics Corner addresses questions like, does established science require that life after physical death is impossible? And are all mediums frauds? All pretty standard questions that are answered with, whatever skepticism you have is wrong. Isn't that great?
Oh, yeah, that is great. Do they do the thing with mediums where it's like, well, some mediums are frauds.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
But our mediums are not frauds.
Yes.
Which is exactly like we're not an illegal pyramid scheme. So
it's literally that. Answers to common concerns is a little more interesting. There are 9 questions total, 4 of which are things like, will communicating with spirits leave oneself open to evil interference, like standard cell phone concerns. Mm-hmm. But then the last 5 questions are, let me read them to you. What about slanderous attacks many years ago against Dr. Schwartz? Dr. Schwartz, how many attacks have been leveled against your work? Why do you think these unsubstantiated allegations occurred? I understand that 10 years ago, a journalist falsely reported an incident involving you. Where did these untrue accusations come from?
Okay. What are you referring to? And also, I can't wait till they add our podcast to this list.
Oh, yeah. We're on the list. So Dr. Schwartz answers, on numerous occasions, I have experienced unfair, unjust, and even malicious reactions from certain people ever since I went public with my afterlife research in the HBO documentary Life After Life. I have recounted examples of this extremely unprofessional and irresponsible behavior in my books, The Afterlife Experiments, 2002, The Truth About Medium, 2005, The Sacred Promise, 2011, and An Atheist in Heaven, 2016. So he basically goes like, read my books if you want to know. We can talk.
What about your slanderous attacks? Buy my book.
He does talk a little bit more about it. I just thought it was funny that it was that. We're going to talk a little bit later about the specific attacks on Dr. Schwartz. But I just wanted to point out here what an interesting little section we've got. So moving on. The site has calls to action for anyone who wants to support Soul Phone.
Soul calls to action?
Soul calls to action. Quote, I invite you to A, share this information with others.
We're sharing it with our whole audience right now. You're welcome,
sharing
guys.
The good news.
That's right.
2, subscribe to free Soul Phone Foundation / Greater Reality Living e-newsletters. C, become a member and or donor. D, attend online and our local Greater Reality Living groups. We are just starting the groups, so start one if there's not an established one in your area.
Done. Let's do it.
Donations level go from $5 a month to one-time donations of $10,000 or more. Each donation level receives benefits just like a Patreon or a GoFundMe, ranging from signed books to free ebooks to personal meetings with Dr. Schwartz himself.
Ooh.
Other ways to get involved.
That's like the top tier Kickstarter.
Yeah. You get to like you fly out to Arizona and like.
Actually, that was one of the things that that Star Citizen was doing. Is you could meet Chris Roberts.
Very Star Citizen here. You can also attend SEED events, cell phone education, ethics, and demonstrations, which are demonstrations of the cell phone device. You can book HOPE sessions, have opportunity for post-material experience, where you can...
Whoa. Oh, that's an acronym.
Yes.
So, wait, what was it again?
Have opportunity for post-material experience, where you can visit with a deceased loved one.
Okay.
You can learn more about the project on a number of podcasts and radio shows that have interviewed the two doctors, or you can join about 1,600 other people who follow their Facebook page. So lots of ways to get involved. It's funny that they're fundraising like this IMO, especially because one of the ways Dr. Schwartz believes Soul Phone will help people in the future is by protecting people from shady mediums who are just looking to take advantage of grieving people for money.
Oh my God. Oh, I give up.
Not yet.
I'm done.
We still have a ways.
The podcast is over.
We still have a ways to fall, my friend. Okay. Let's talk some specifics. An article in Jewish News discussed an early version of Soul Phone in 2015.
What's Jewish News? Is that like a...
Jewish News is this particular website is a local Arizona community news site for Jewish issues.
Got it.
And Jewish news. So this article discussed an early version of Soul Phone in 2015, which was simply a computer outfitted with the ability to read and display patterns of background radiation, which Dr. Schwartz believes spirits can manipulate and alter the patterns to communicate with the living. In this article, a specific pattern was being displayed that Dr. Schwartz called the Sophia pattern. So the name was given to Dr. Schwartz by 3 different mediums. So when this pattern popped up, 3 different mediums were like, that's Sophia talking to you.
Who's Sophia?
The ghost. The ghost is talking to him.
Is it the Golden Girl?
Yes. When the computer displays 2 specific blue lines, Dr. Schwartz believes it is indicative that Sophia has entered the room and is attempting to communicate.
Why do the ghosts have this weird way of communicating? Like, why can't they just like pop up and be like, "Hey, what's up"? Why is it this like encoded?
I don't know.
It's like with QAnoners where it's like, oh, it's all in code. The way that everybody communicates is with secret symbols.
I don't know. You'll have to ask Dr. Schwartz.
Is he coming on the show? Because I would love Dr. Schwartz, if you're out there, we would love to have you on the show talking about your stuff. I know it sounds like we're attacking you.
I'm definitely attacking.
We are, but totally come on the show though.
Quote from the article, Schwartz seeks enough repetition of the pattern to rule out chance, the possibility that it's random. He says he'll enter the room and ask, is anybody here? If Sophia's yes pattern displays, he'll ask, if this is you, Sophia, please show me your sign. If he sees the double bar in the next 15 to 20 seconds, he'll ask Sophia to repeat the pattern. If he asks a yes or no question, he requires seeing 3 yeses in a row before he accepts it as a yes. Dr. Schwartz explains the technology like this. Quote, just because a star no longer exists doesn't mean that we no longer have the light from the star. There is no longer any question about whether this statistically works. However, it is not reliable enough yet. Can we take this from a scientifically statistical phenomenon to a reliable phenomenon that makes it useful in real life? We're working on that. We are close to experiencing a Wright brothers moment with regards to the technology of detecting spirit. The question now is, what will it become and what can it become and how long will it take for us to reach the point where it is working so effortlessly that all of us take all of this for granted? Is it possible that we may be awakening to the reality of using technology to create sacred partnerships?
He's also betraying a common but lack of understanding of general relativity with his star comment there.
Explain.
It's a little bit hard to explain.
You're the one who fucking brought it up.
Well, I'm just trying to attack this guy, okay? Don't make me justify my shit. Jesus, they don't have to. Why should I?
That's true.
It's the common sort of way of understanding this. Actually, I should have said special relativity. The common way of understanding how things work is that, like, oh, a star can blow up and you wouldn't know it till the light reaches you, which is true, but like in a very real, like, physics way. If you don't know something has happened yet because its light cone hasn't intersected with yours, it's in a very sort, because the concept of like simultaneity isn't actually absolute across the universe.
Right.
There's no physical validity in saying that something happening millions of light years away is happening, quote unquote, now without its light reaching you. Like it's all like you have to think of light less as light and more as like a way of connecting causality and knowledge across different parts of the universe.
That's why I say that it doesn't work on Star Trek when they're like, it's been
Nothing
2
works on
years.
Star Trek.
Yeah.
Nothing works.
And you're like, no, it does. And I'm like, no, it doesn't.
but
And
that's
Dr.
'cause
Schwartz agrees with me.
I thought you were saying other things at start. I thought you were saying like, why are they able to use like Earth time? You can still like measure local time.
I'm saying that whatever. Is it possible that we may be awakening to the reality of using technology to create sacred partnerships? Speaking of sacred partnerships, this is where we hit our rock bottom.
Ooh, good.
Yes.
Are we at terminal like how badly am I going to be hurt? We've been following a long time.
You're going to get Gwen Stacy'd. The most recent update on Soul Phone, the 2020 update posted by Mark Pitstick earlier this year, includes an incredible development in the Soul Phone project. And honestly, it is maybe the biggest scientific breakthrough of our time. Like, of all of our lifetimes. Like, are you ready for this?
Cell phones are topic, by the way, right? Like it's not Dr. Schwartz, it's not Afterlife Sciences. Like it's Soul Phone is the episode, right?
I just was trying to figure out how a way to do a Soul Phone.
Okay. Okay.
Are you ready for this?
No.
Quote, a team of post-material inventors, scientists, and other luminaries have assisted the research and development of Soul Phone. Literal genius ghosts are working with Dr. Schwartz to help make Soul Phone a reality.
Wait, that didn't mean people who are studying that?
No.
That meant...
Post-material. Dead inventors. That's where I think the Nikola Tesla thing came in from. Because the website does not explain what the fuck that Nikola Tesla quote is, and I am pretty sure it's this.
So part of the development team for this project is ghosts.
Yes. Actually, we haven't hit rock bottom yet. So, in addition...
But wait, I'm still... Jesus.
In addition to all the optical physicists and electrical engineers working on Soul Phone, Dr. Schwartz's team is also collaborating directly with scientists from beyond the grave.
Oh my God.
In 2010, Rhonda Eklund, MA, an evidential research medium working with Dr. Schwartz on this project, began to connect with a number of, quote, hypothesized post-material collaborators, HPCs. You'll recall that from earlier.
Okay.
But it's
That's
not just
what
her.
HPC is.
At least 10 other evidential mediums have independently corroborated the desire of these passed-on scientists to help out with the project.
Actually, if I were dead, I would want to help make a Soul Phone as well.
Agreed.
Although, actually, hold on. Wait, why wouldn't I just be like, forget Soul Phone. I can talk through the mediums.
I don't know.
Because clearly I can communicate well enough via a medium in order to collaborate on a complex scientific project. I don't
know.
Okay.
Let me read you this passage from the website describing this event. Quote.
This is I know I've already said this, but this is
bad.
Definitely a grift. Definitely.
Quote. A team of HPCs came together to work with Rhonda and Dr. Schwartz. Each deceased luminary brought a unique set of talents, expertise, and an apparent genuine commitment to help with the building of this technology.
Oh shit, it's like the dead A-team.
The members of the A-team...
Oh shit! Maybe they'll hire me.
Include scientists, inventors, business persons, laypeople, and entertainers. Some whose names you would recognize.
Ooh, let's appeal to that authority.
However.
Oh, what? Oh?
As Dr. Schwartz says, it's not about the team. It's about the technology. It's about the potential to positively transform many people in our world. These HPCs continue to play a critical role in the research to this day.
I love that they have an acronym for it. It's just so making chef kiss hands right now.
Do you want to know who some of these luminaries are?
Definitely.
Oh, well, sorry, because it's not about the team. It's about the technology. Whoever these luminaries are that make up the spirit team, they aren't identified on the Soul Phone website anywhere. In fact...
Hold on. Why wouldn't they just make that up? Like, why?
Oh, I will tell you why. In fact, we're going to have to wait for Rhonda Eklund to release her next books to learn about this A-team.
Okay.
According to her site, quote, details of how the relationships of these individual spirits were made, along with the communications, research, and experiments being conducted with them will be shared in Rhonda's next books. Keep watching for their release. Maybe I
actually kind of respect the amount of thought that went into this grift. Like, that's some long-term thinking.
I'm about to blow you out the water. Maybe I should point out here that Rhonda Eklund changed her name to Rhonda Eklund Schwartz in 2006 when she met and married Dr. Gary Schwartz, and the two have worked together ever since.
Oh, man. It's like our long-term project with this podcast where we're going to start a cult.
Yeah. Yeah.
So is he running for president or like?
Not yet.
Okay. I don't just keep reading. I don't have anything.
Well, do you think
I don't have words.
If you think that's controversial, that Dr. Schwartz and his medium wife, Rhonda Eklund, are going to release a book soon telling you about all of the Nikola Teslas that they worked with.
I don't think it's controversial. I think that it's definitely bunk.
Well,
There's no controversy.
I'm going to keep using the word controversial because I want to talk about the controversy that was mentioned on the cell phone website itself. Remember, Dr. Schwartz?
Oh, that's right. Teach the controversy.
Well, in 2007, Geraldo Rivera called Dr. Schwartz out on his show, claiming that Dr. Schwartz had, quote, overstepped his position as a university researcher by requesting by requesting money from a bereaved father to fund research into mediumship. But
oh man,
what
a douchebag! I mean, I guess that's what he's been doing this whole time, but still, it's like.
Well, I'll get into it. Dr. Schwartz has what he considers to be a perfectly reasonable explanation for soliciting a recently bereaved person for millions of dollars to further research into afterlife science. Dr. Schwartz claimed that the wealthy father read the Afterlife Experiments book, had several sessions with one of the mediums discussed in the book, and was so grateful for the experience, he called Dr. Schwartz and asked how he could help advance the research into mediumship. Quote, I told the father that, if he was really that wealthy, he might consider creating an endowed name professorship in afterlife science at a major university in honor of his deceased son. I suggested that he could do so in the son's name. Dr. Schwartz suggested he donate $3.5 million to a university of his choosing in order to create the endowment, which is where Geraldo supposedly got like his numbers from. But the story doesn't end there. Dr. Schwartz now claims that the wealthy father had a quote-unquote shady history and had been in federal prison in the past. Apparently, he wanted to go into business with Dr. Schwartz and create a paid service connecting thousands of worldwide mediums to clients. And Dr. Schwartz, of course, said no. He could only endorse nonprofits in this arena, but he agreed there was a need to connect grieving parents to the emerging field of afterlife science and connect them to certified mediums, and thus the Forever Family Foundation was born, bringing it all back to the beginning.
So this endowment is why he is currently at...
No.
No. Okay.
No. He was like, you should make an endowment. The dead father, or the bereaved father called him and was like, Dr. Schwartz, thank you so much for your incredible work. I want to know how I can help help further this research. And Dr. Schwartz was like, give $3.5 million in the form of an endowment to a university of your choosing for a position of afterlife sciences. And instead of going like, good idea, Dr. Schwartz, the guy supposedly went like, I got a mustache twirl. Why don't you and I team up, make a business out of this? And Dr. Schwartz went, no, I must not. I am high and moral, and instead I will create a 501c3 called the Forever Family Foundation, connecting deceased parents to the emerging field of afterlife science.
So he did it anyway, just without this guy's money.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Dr. Schwartz claimed that the wealthy father was furious with him and tried to get even, I guess by enlisting Geraldo's help.
Okay, so that's why he's on the Geraldo program, is because he had this idea and Dr. Schwartz stole it and started a business. And
nonprofit.
Started a 501c3.
Dr. Schwartz, nonprofits are extremely important and many of them do incredibly good work. And then also there's like a whole bunch that are just for making people rich.
Yeah, nonprofit, all that means is that you don't have to show a profit as an entity. It doesn't mean that the people can't take big old salaries.
Dr. Schwartz, which is a beloved like go-to for conspiracy theorists. So it's like such a double-edged sword. There's like so many conspiracy theorists that are like, such and such 501c3, it's just a making money thing for that person that I don't like.
Oh, right.
But then also sometimes they do it. Dr. Schwartz also notes that he was advised to sue Geraldo for this slander, but he himself decided to take the high road.
Oh, he keeps taking the high road. Good for him.
So there you have it. The life and times of Dr. Gary Schwartz, from biofeedback researcher to mysterious voice experiencer to Forever Family Foundation founder, and now creator and developer of the Soul Phone.
Is there a jingle to the Soul Phone? Is there like, Soul Phone?
Soul Phone, Soul Phone, call your dead dad, he's really sad. I don't know. Okay.
Oh my God. Please, if I die, just make sure you call me on the Soul Phone.
Okay. Before we get to our judging, I just want to go back to the beginning of this journey really quick. Because remember, I told that ghost story to kind of explain how I don't think our experiences are science. Things aren't science just because you say they are, and following motivated reasoning down a rabbit hole can take you to some pretty dubious places.
And so what you're saying is you want to confirm if it was a ghost by using the Soul Phone.
I want to call the ghost on the Soul Phone.
You're like, hey, were you at this address in 1987?
I was -1.
Whatever. I pulled a number out of my...
Good job. The ghost I saw wasn't real just because I said it was. Life after death isn't supported by science just because Dr. Schwartz says it is. And also, scientific explanation... Like, this is a whole other topic, but I just wanted to end this by saying scientific explanations for supernatural experiences doesn't diminish those experiences. In fact, I think scientific explanation for magical things only makes those magical things even more beautiful, and I wish we could spend more time and energy and give more of our individual reverence to those things than the Gary Schwartz of the world. And I want to read this quote from physician Dr. Melvin Morse, who I did not research. I just got this quote from him. He might be also a shuckster and an asshole, but I just like this quote.
Yeah.
Quote.
Content warning, maybe asshole, didn't research.
Yeah. Simply because religious experiences are brain-based does not automatically lessen or demean their spiritual significance. Indeed, the findings of neurological substrates to religious experiences can be argued to provide evidence for their objective reality.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about this a lot, that like spirituality and supernaturality, is that a word? Supernaturalism?
It is now. Anything can be anything.
The supernatural, that's true, are not synonyms.
Yeah.
You can have spiritual experiences from art and science and things that exist in the physical real world just as much as you can from talking about ghosts and supernatural experiences as well.
And if science was able to explain to me like why I saw exactly what I saw, that's just as incredible. That's just as magical as, well, it's a ghost. Like, if science is able to figure out why our brains do that, like, that's incredible that A, that people can figure that shit out, and then B, our brains work like that. Like, I have reverence for that. That is spiritual to me. It doesn't have to be supernatural.
Yeah, studying brains and consciousness is already sort of like a magical thing. Like the fact that a physical piece of the universe is able to be awake and conscious enough to wonder what it is.
Yeah.
Is a very spiritual thing to contemplate.
Yeah. So I don't think we need to, I don't think we need the Dr. Schwartzes in our world. I don't think we need them. I don't think they're adding to our spiritual experiences of the world. I think that in many ways it's a distraction, and I don't like them.
What a butthead.
I don't like them.
No, yeah, and I mean, I would even say also, like we said this last week or last episode, but it's fine to want to apply science to understanding to what happens to a human after they die.
Absolutely.
But do it in an actually scientific manner and commit to it, and don't cherry pick science when you want to prove something and say not everything is scientific and skeptical when you don't.
Right.
And also Soul Phone?
Soul Phone.
We're
gonna have webinars from fucking
no.
Ramtha himself.
Listen, man, it's 2020. I'm done with the Zoom thing. I don't. like maybe
oh no, that's
last
the thing that's
year.
really going to kill cell phone.
That's right.
Is everyone's Zoom fatigue.
Holy shit.
Ready?
Criteria time?
Yeah.
Where's the paper? Oh, we got it. All right. Yeah. You always do this for like 10 minutes.
I learned it from watching you.
I know. I wish that I hadn't done it ever. All right.
I don't know what the topic is. I think the topic
It's
is
obviously soul phone.
It's not soul phone. It's Afterlife Sciences.
It's soul phone. It's definitely soul phone. We said Afterlife Sciences was last week's topic.
We didn't judge
even though
that
this is a
topic.
part 2. Yeah, I know it's all together, but I'm sorry.
You're just gonna call it all soul phone now.
This whole topic has been soul phone. I don't care what you say. All right. Let's start with charismatic leader. I like starting at the bottom.
Very there.
That's there.
Present AF. He's got an HBO documentary.
Is he charismatic?
He is
though?
charismatic enough that he is part of an HBO documentary. He has all these
His beard's pretty sweet.
He's got all these fucking mediums on his side. He has all these other dudes on his side. He has a professorship at an accredited university. Like he
has ghosts working for him.
He's got Nikola Tesla's probably working for him right now.
Holy shit.
He's got a wife who I will point out is not the wife from his story of hearing the mysterious voice.
Okay.
I don't know.
Different wife.
I don't know why that's relevant, but I feel like it is.
Different wife, afterlife.
Yeah. I don't know.
Okay, so hi. Ritual.
I say ritual's high because it's all like
because
sitting around with
the
mediums.
it's all the weird fake experiments and sitting around with mediums.
You're doing the ritual of science.
The ritual of attaching electrodes to a head and being like, hey, science.
In the previous episode was the ritual of science.
Right. It's not, yeah, okay. Definitely high. Percentage of life consumed. So I guess
what about percentage of afterlife?
The followers would be what?
I don't know. Us? The people reading his
people
books?
that he grifts the money from?
I think so. But that's the thing is that I could not figure out like how many people have donated to Soul Phone, how many books he's sold. Like I don't know, but he has sold enough books. Like he makes a living.
Yeah.
Off of this.
Right. So yeah, I guess percentage of life consumed is like indeterminate. Since we don't know that much about like the people that engage with his product.
Right.
I imagine that it's probably a spectrum. Like there's probably somebody who's like, oh yeah, I'll throw $10 at that. That'd be cool if I could talk to Nikola Tesla. Or my choices, which are like all horrible men throughout history.
So Nikola Tesla. I have no idea. He might have been a nice guy.
Who knows?
We'll find out with Soul Phone TM.
Right. Would you like to know which of your favorite historical figures were total douchebags? Well, now you can.
With Soul Phone.
Soul phone. Yeah.
Soul phone.
No more jingle.
Dad, he's really sad.
Oh my God. This episode. Oh, geez.
This episode
indeterminate.
Destroyed me. So.
Indeterminate percentage of life consumed. Anti-factuality. Just through the goddamn roof. All the way
I have to say
up into heaven.
Is Soul Phone. I'm sorry that we're making fun of this so hard.
It's hard not to. It's called Soul Phone,
I
Kayla.
know.
Like, at least give it, like, a pseudo-scientific sounding name, like Star Trek would, like, call it, like he does with the HCTs, or what are they called?
HPCs.
HPCs.
Hypothesized Post-Material Collaborators.
Right, that at least sounds scientific. So anti-factuality, you even talked about closed logical system happening. You talked a lot about motivated reasoning. Those are the two things we talk about a lot with that criteria, just in case we need to justify it, which I don't think we do. Is it niche?
I don't know how to answer this.
I'm going to say yes. Like, I think it's niche. I think there's definitely a large percentage of society that thinks about, believes in, interacts with beliefs in the afterlife. Mm-hmm. I don't know if a large percentage of society thinks that it has to be through a medium, or you can attach electrodes to a medium and
have it be proven
and have a phone to call them on Skype.
I wish I knew how much money Soul Phone has raised.
Dead Skype. I know. Okay, and did you look for that?
Yeah.
Oh, it's such a bummer. So I'm gonna say niche for this, even though like afterlife in general, belief in afterlife is not niche. This is.
I don't think Dr. Gary Schwartz. I don't know. I agree with you. Yeah, I agree with you.
And then expected harm, I feel like I'm going to come down sort of like percentage of life consumed, because I don't know how actually, it's what you were just saying, like not knowing how much money they've raised. Like, if this is like bleeding people dry the way that other cults can, like the Amways of the world.
Right. I think that as much as I really dislike this entire topic, I don't think it's a cult. I think
Whoa, what about expected harm? Hold on.
I was agreeing with you. I don't think that it's... I don't think I can say that it's like super high or I can say it's super low. I think it's a spectrum. And I just think overall, I think that this particular gentleman is probably a grifter. I think there's a lot of people that work in this arena, and there's probably a spectrum of true believers to grifters. But I don't know if I can say that Dr. Gary Schwartz and Soulphone and Afterlife Science is a cult. I think if I knew more about the people that consume his products and the people that interact with his products, I could have a better answer, but it's really difficult to find that kind of information. So I hate it, and I want to say it's a cult. I don't know if it is.
Well,
I think
Kayla,
I think it's a bad thing. I think it's a bad thing.
First of all, it's my turn to judge, okay? So I don't care what you think.
We all get to judge. Also, this is my podcast. You don't exist.
Oh, that's right. That's right. This is solipsism tonight with just me. So going back, to expected harm, I think it's the same thing. It's like, it's hard to say because we don't know that much about the followers. I think it's pretty much what you were just saying. Like the 4 criteria that were not indeterminate were all pretty heavily cult. However, if this turned out to be something that like didn't really affect people that much and they weren't being harmed and dumping a ton of money and spending a lot of their life, then I think I would say like ultra weird, definitely grifty, but probably not a cult. Like, I don't think you can have a cult if you're not like actively harming cultists.
Right.
Maybe we could call it like a benign cult versus a
I think it's a
cult,
destructive thing.
a destructive weird.
I think
is it like a matrix? So there's like benign cult, destructive cult, benign weird, destructive weird.
I don't even know if it's a weird. I think it's a third thing. I think it's a bad.
No, I think it's destructive weird.
I think it's a destructive bad. I don't even think it's weird. I think
Kayla, this isn't
bad.
cult or weird or bad.
Well, I'm adding it.
You can add that in your own little universe, but in this universe where we have to have
it's a destructive weird.
A collaboration of realities.
Destructive weird.
Destructive weird. All right, next time on benign cult or destructive weird. All right, so just to tie it up, I guess it's just weird, but destructive.
There you go, Dr. Schwartz. You're just weird.
But you're very weird, if that's a consolation. I don't know if you've heard this, but your product is called Soulphone. That's weird as fuck, dude.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. And like, even if if you were selling like, I don't know, like blood chalices or something that was like really just sort of like spiritual, and you have to do some but like, you're talking about like Skyping with dead people.
Yeah. And I
don't know, man.
And Nikola Tesla's helping you do it.
Right. And a whole list of luminaries for the low price of $19.99. You can figure out who that is in his next book.
I want to read the book.
Let's buy it. We can expense it to the show.
I don't want to give them money.
We should steal it.
I'd steal it. If bookstores were still open.
We don't condone stealing.
I do.
Oh, actually, he's stealing. So actually, in this case, I do condone it.
He stole that rich dad's idea.
Oh man,
so
that was
I never want to do another topic ever again.
This is the last episode of Cult or Just Weird.
This is what you get when you make me do 2 topics in a row.
I didn't. You made you do 2 topics. I did 2 topics. Then you had to do 2 topics.
Yeah, I know.
So you made yourself.
I'm so glad that we can talk about Soulphone now.
Oh, yeah.
That's all I'm ever going to talk about for the rest of my life.
Soulphone. Jesus.
All right.
I don't even. Yeah. I don't even have anything like funny to say.
No.
I just Soulphone.
Soulphone. Thanks for listening, friends.
Yeah, thanks for going on this journey with us. Thank you.
Go to yourworldoftext.com /culturedjustweird for a palate cleanser.
Yeah, especially if you're from a foreign country like Iceland. That's so cool. Or actually, we had some tulpas check in here.
Thanks, tulpas.
Which is like so rad that like we have tulpas still listening to our show.
what I wouldn't give to be talking about tulpas right now instead of fucking Dr. Schwartz.
Well,
Tulpas are just like a panacea
you blew that
for
one
the soul.
in season 1, so sorry.
Tulpas and
actually, you've done 3 episodes on tulpas, and we had the interview, and then you had 2 in episode 1 where you talked about them.
Tulpas and the line are definitely some of the most healing episodes.
What about cicada?
Cicada's great. I don't know if it's like healing, especially because it's so like, and we don't know where they are.
What about creativity? That was a breath of fresh air.
That was a stinky poop. And I hate it. Almost as much as I hate... No, I think I probably hate creativity worse than Dr. Schwartz, but it's...
Oh, yeah. Creativity is definitely the worst one they've done.
Yeah.
I think, if...
It's not even close.
I'm fine that we, did that. I think, if I were to run into another group like that, I would be like...
Steer clear?
I don't know. Do I need to do this again?
No, we're good. Okay, well... Thanks for listening.
Yeah, thanks for going on that
2 weeks
journey with us,
to not
everybody.
have to hear about Dr. Schwartz ever again. Or maybe we'll call you on the cell phone.
Yeah, well, hopefully not, because that means either us or our listeners are dead.
Yeah, but if you have a cell phone, who the fuck cares?
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. Cool. Well, then I think the next step for us is to figure out how to gain listeners in the afterlife.
Yeah.
So whether you're here on Earth or in one of the various afterlives... Like, share, and subscribe. Go follow us on Twitter. Go to our worldoftext.com/cultistweird. Rate us on iTunes, or what is it called now? Apple Podcasts. Pardon me. And I hope that you guys have a great rest of your week or weekend whenever you're listening to this.
I'm Kayla.
And I'm Chris.
And this has been Cult
or Just Weird.